Okay, we're going to talk about container builds at scale with cloud-native Buildpacks. When I say scale, I'm talking in the order of tens of millions of images, and we'll take a look at how companies like Google and Heroku are managing their container images at this level. My name's Joe Kutner. With me is Terrence Lee. We co-founded the cloud-native Buildpacks project about 7 years ago, and it's now an incubating CNCF project. So what are Buildpacks? They are tools that turn your application source code into container images without the need for a Docker file. At the end, you get an image that has layers that map logically to your application's components, which allows us to have very powerful features like additional caching mechanisms that speed up your builds and reproducible builds, and then ultimately metadata that we can use to inspect the different layers. You can use Docker files with Buildpacks, but most of our users don't need that. So why use Buildpacks? Well, they're a sustainable option. And I mean that in the sense that they use resources efficiently. How many of you have made like a one-line change to your Docker file and then busted the cache and had to rebuild the image from scratch? It happens, and it takes minutes and sometimes hours to rebuild, but try doing that 10 million times. It just doesn't scale. So Terrence is going to talk about some specific examples of how those caching mechanisms help you.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. And so, most organizations, you're not just building a single app, you're building hundreds, thousands of applications, container images in your registry. One of the features we have in cloud-native Buildpacks is a concept called rebase. And so, what happens when you get a CV in your base image, right? This is the most expensive operation in traditional container workflow because that's the first line of Docker file, which means it definitely invalidates like all the caching mechanisms inside of your image. So you have to basically throw everything out, build a whole new image, and then even when you do deployment, right, like you've got a whole new digest for every single layer, right, on top of the base image itself because you've built a brand new image. And so even deploying across your nodes is expensive. With cloud-native Buildpacks, we have this concept called rebase. And so, Joe was mentioning that we have this well-structured OCI image. And one of the things that you get out of this is that we know where the base image ends and your application starts. And so we kind of know where that separation is. And so if you're building on top of base images that have API compatibility guarantees, one of the things that you can do is you can do a lift and shift on our end. And you can basically do a JSON text file manipulation because we can just go ahead and replace the underlying OS image layers. And the reason this is safe is because the binary compatibility inside of that base image, right? And one of the things that you've noticed in this diagram is actually the SHA layer, the SHA digests for the app layers are the same. And that's because we don't have to touch them, right? We're not doing a rebuild. We're just replacing the OS image layers. And so in that deployment example I was talking about with those millions of images, with CMB images with that, you don't have to basically, if those image layers are cached on the node, you don't have to re-upload them. It's just the new text file and the base image layer underneath. So significantly faster. That all sounds great. How do you get started? The quickest way to get started is, as part of the project, we have a CLI called Pack. You can get that through Homebrew if you're on a Mac or Linux. We also have stuff in most of the standard Linux distros as well, or you can go to GitHub and download it. And you just run pack build in your source tree with the image name, and then it goes off and does a build. And for most people, they don't want to go and build their own Buildpacks. You of course can go ahead and do that. But a lot of people get started by using existing Buildpacks out there. We have this concept called builders, which package basically base images with a set of Buildpacks that are already included. And these are probably the most kind of popular vendor ones that are out there, the ones from Heroku, Paketo, and the Google folks. And you can use that and kind of just go and get started. At the con, at KubeCon, we have our maintainer track tomorrow afternoon. I'm doing a talk about Buildpacks with WASM with my friend David Justice later that afternoon as well. And then we'll also be at the Project Pavilion in the afternoons throughout the whole conference. So love to talk to you if you have questions, and have a great KubeCon. Thanks, y'all.